As you already know, Redmi recently launched the Note 9 series in China. The new series differs slightly as compared to its international version. While we won't discuss why Redmi is putting out so many Note 9 models, just know that the Chinese version of the Note 9 series has once again made its rivals in its price segment nervous, especially when you look at the Redmi Note 9 Pro. Today, we're focused on the Redmi Note 9 Pro and the Note 9 5G, and we can check if the Note 9 series can repeat the success of the Note 8 series in China, which achieves the amazing annual sales milestone of over 100 million in a year. I'm Kieran, and welcome to Gizmochina. To be honest, the first thing you should notice about the Note 9 Pro is how big and heavy it is. Weighing 215 grams with a width of 76.8 millimeters, it's really uncomfortable to hold in the hand. But thanks to the glass back cover, the overall build quality does not look bad. The anti-glare glass is a very rare and appreciated feature on a budget phone, but unfortunately only the Cyan Red Gradient model has got the AG glass processing, while the black and blue models we got just feature a glossy glass finish. So for those who hate to add a case on their phones, the Gradient Cyan Red version would be a better choice to avoid collecting annoying fingerprints. The camera design is not so strange, since we've seen a similar camera module on the Poco X3. However, it's not identical to the Poco X3. Considering the relationship among Xiaomi, Redmi, and Poco, it would be meaningless to argue which one is the original. As a budget series, at least we can appreciate these models for being able to distinguish itself from other brands' rear camera designs. On the other hand, the Note 9 5G is much more conventional than the Pro model. The weight control at 199 grams is not bad. Unlike the Pro model, the 5G model's cover and the frame are made of one-piece plastic with matte finish. The camera module still continues the classic round design of the K30 series. Both the Pro and the 5G model share the same side fingerprint reader, a 3.5mm audio jack, an infrared emitter, and dual speakers, but only the Pro version has NFC. When you light up their displays, the gap between these two phones is pretty clear, and obviously the Note 9 Pro is worthy of its Pro name. Its bezels are narrower, and a rare center hole punch display reveals its Pro identity. Just like its camera design, the new hole punch display makes the Note 9 Pro stand out from the crowd of similarly designed mid-range phones. On the contrary, the top left corner hole punch on the Note 9 5G is a bit ordinary by comparison. The Pro version features a 120Hz 1080p display and adopts the same smart adaptive sync technology as the Mi 10T, which guarantees a smoother experience and power saving at the same time. But the Note 9 5G only features a 60Hz display, so it doesn't use the adaptive sync technology. In terms of screen experience alone, unsurprisingly, you'll have a much better experience on the Note 9 Pro. For performance, Xiaomi used the Snapdragon 750G chipset on the Note 9 Pro. Redmi has high expectations for the 750G chipset and has claimed that it's a liquid-cooled gaming SoC. Let's look at the benchmark results first. It did look slightly higher than the Note 9 5G's Dimensity 8000U in terms of Antutu score, and it's also higher than the Snapdragon 765G model. However, if you look closely at the GPU scores, the Note 9 Pro has the lowest score among the three. The low GPU score suggests that the Pro model may not be better when it comes to actual gaming. And just as we figured, in Nimian Legend, the Note 9 5G achieved an average frame rate at 25.55 FPS, while the Pro version only runs at 24.3 FPS, which seems not so pro. In the 20-minute Genshin Impact test, the Note 9 5G ran at 37.69 FPS, while the figure of the Pro model is 31.94. And obviously the 5G model has less stuttering. In PUBG Mobile, both the phones can only access HD graphics and a max level of high frame rate in the settings. But in the China PUBG version, where we unlock the frame rate limits up to 120 FPS, both the phones can run at nearly full 60 FPS under HDR graphics. But the fact is that the Note 9 Pro features a 120Hz display, and we would have expected more from it. There is a problem. Because the Snapdragon 750G is still no match for the performance of flagships such as the Snapdragon 865, many games force the refresh rate to be fixed at 60Hz. So even if you had a 120Hz screen, you wouldn't be able to experience it in a game most of the time. So speaking of gaming experience alone, the Note 9 5G may even have a slightly better performance than the Note 9 Pro. Now let's look at the Note 9 Pro's 108 megapixel main camera. So Samsung's HM2 108 megapixel sensor finally debuted on a Redmi model, but compared to the 108 megapixel sensor of the Mi 10, how does the new sensor perform? So we have included samples from the Mi 10 for comparison. Under good lighting conditions, the color tones are the most noticeable difference. The samples of the Note 9 phones presented relatively warm tones, while the Mi 10 samples are a bit cooler. This color bias is presented in almost all scenes during the daytime. Such color preference actually doesn't indicate which is better or worse. But for the Note 9 Pro, the 12 megapixel samples shot on the main camera were generated by a 9-in-1 pixel technology, which are noticeably less sharp than the Mi 10's 27 megapixel samples generated by a 4-in-1 pixel technology. But what if we switch on the full pixel output? Unfortunately, even under the 108 megapixel high resolution mode, the 9 Pro samples are much noisier and less pure than what we got on the Mi 10. If you shoot photos indoors, the absence of OIS anti-shaking of the main lens and the high resolution will amplify the impacts of shaking on the image quality. The Note 9 5G's 48 megapixels certainly doesn't match the resolution of the previous two, but from the 5G model samples, it surprisingly has better noise control and better image purity than the Pro model. So unless you really need the ultra high resolution for better photo editing, please forget the 108 megapixel mode on the Pro model. Under night scenes, the Note 9 Pro performs beyond our expectations. Shooting under the auto mode, the highlights are better suppressed and the image is cleaner. But after all, the Mi 10 was a flagship model. Under extreme low light scenes, due to the lack of OIS and the smaller sensor, the Note 9 Pro's night samples presented remarkable detail loss in shadows and occasionally blurred imaging. Even though we turned on the night mode, the problem still existed. Meanwhile, it's also worth mentioning that the Note 9 5G under night mode has good exposure, though sometimes what it shot was already very pale. Well, as a budget phone, you can't expect much at night. At least it's able to capture objects under low light situations. The ultra-wide angle cameras on the Mi 10 and Note 9 5G don't support night mode. So the Note 9 Pro is an all-round winner over the other two when it comes to wide-angle night shots. Of course, what we paid for the Mi 10 can also buy us 2 units of the Note 9 Pro. Considering the price when you compare the Note 9 Pro's camera to the Mi 10, the Note 9 Pro has already won. Battery life is also a key selling point on the Note 9 series. Redmi has stuffed the Note 9 5G and Pro versions with large 5000 mAh and 4820 mAh batteries, respectively. We did a 4-hour power consumption test on the Note 9 phones. In 1 hour of PUBG gaming, the Note 9 5G consumed 7% of power, and the Pro model drew in 25% of power. After 20 mins of Genshin Impact, another 12% dropped on the 5G model, and 10% was consumed on the Pro model. It means that as long as you don't break the graphic limits, the battery life on both devices is not a problem. In terms of charging, the Note 9 Pro supports 33 watts of charging. We got 23% in 10 minutes, 67% in half an hour, and a full charge in 55 minutes. On the other hand, the Note 9 5G only supports 18 watts of charging. We took half an hour to charge back to 35% of power, and a full charge took us around 2 hours. So that's it. The Note 9 Pro no doubt is suitable for people with a limited budget, but who want to be able to take good pictures. Its overall camera quality is already comparable to that of the Mi 10, which is twice as expensive. Otherwise, it also performs well in other respects like large battery and fast charge. At the price of around $250, there are almost no rivals. While the Note 9 5G is more suitable for users who require a lot of battery life but don't want to sacrifice performance, the Dimensity 8000U is sufficient for mainstream games, and the 5000 mAh battery will allow you to use it all day without charging. Do you think the Redmi Note 9 series will sell as well as the Note 8 series? Please share your thoughts down below. If you like our videos, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and click the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'm Kieran from Gizmochina, and we'll see you soon.